That's why I'm asking
Welcome.
you to, when it's video, I'm asking you to share it because if I do,
Okay.
it will go down. It will cut.
Okay. So I'll share it out.
You make a post and I repost and or quote you post. We lost Van Daniken.
I saw that.
I just posted a documentary of his book, made by him. It took me an
Okay.
hour to remaster it, but I remastered it and put it there on X. So at least the new generations that
All right.
never
I've got you on X.
let me go there.
All right.
Okay.
Now I'll go elsewhere. All right. So are you able? You're able to see on your end if we have chat, right? Show up. I've yet to figure that out over here.
As soon as there's the first people on the chat, it will appear here on this screen on
We're
Riverside.
rookies. It's okay.
So
We're
you
just
see,
sorting it
yeah,
out.
you see on the right there is people chat. You see those things
Yeah.
on your right screen.
Yeah.
So you press chat, and you see that you have studio chat and public chat. That is live. You see live saying on public chat.
Okay. No, I'm still doing our PR.
Oh, wait, I thought you were looking.
Um,
Sorry.
yeah, I'm putting. Let me. Now I'm gonna go grab just the link. Hang on a second, man. There's a lot to this stuff
That's a
here,
lot to
dude.
do. Yeah, but
It
this
looks
is
like it looks like we got a team over here, but we don't. All right, I gotta get back to. Just quit talking to me. I can't multitask effectively. All right, back to the institute homepage. Let me grab that now, and we can blast that itself out through a post. Share, create post. We are live now. That gives a YouTube post. Okay, that ought to be most of my usual route. Copy link. Go over here. Edit. Paste. Return. Paste. Paste. Allow. Paste. Save. Back. Go one more. There's a lot of Discord groups. Let's do here. Live. Now. Paste. Paste. Okay, here and here and here and here. Okay, there we go. Now, I need a mouse. There's a mouse. All right. Chat. Studio chat. Public chat. You know, it probably would be more efficient for me. Now, I say we just give it a few minutes and see
sure.
what
I'm
turns up.
gonna I'm gonna edit the name.
You've
But I
got a
think
lot of background noise.
I have background noise.
Yeah, somebody watching a movie.
Just a second.
Okay, there's Sarah. Sarah, we're testing. So Ricardo has large amounts of background noise. He's going to go C2 for a second, and it sounds like he just saw to it. So, yeah, thank you for flipping over. We don't have a plan. We just wanted to honor our committed Sunday time slot and give a live test thing. And so I just sent out the links through all my usual methodology, and we'll see if anybody shows up with a question. Otherwise, Ricardo and I will talk about our day or some crap for a second. I just did 2 hour interview with Dave from Mike and Dave's Multiverse. Much better, bro.
Sarah made a comment, but I can't.
Sarah's here. She threw flip flops. She's here with the flip flop gun.
Oh, it doesn't appear on Riverside. I can't see that. It's only 5 squares.
Oh yeah. Well, you can tell they're flip flops, but I'm also going with the chat here on the mobile, so that may help. So
Okay.
yeah, we'll hang for a second and see
I'm
what we
gonna
get.
change the name of this. What is going on here?
I don't know, but I'm gonna
Oh.
get a drink if this is gonna work, and we're gonna be here a minute. I'll be right back.
Oh, I don't remember which episode we are in. So
Now,
I'm gonna call it
see
differently.
if we were really going to properly fly by the seat of our pants, Sarah, you ought to just get a hold of a link and hop on here with us and bring your expertise to bear instead of making us the guinea pig. All right, somebody's got to hit echo cancellation.
Seriously, I have no echo on my side.
So it could be me. Let me. Oh, that's better. I'm confused by. Let's see. Our usual buttons have moved now that we're live. That is for sure. My mic.
I'm gonna change the thumbnail because all of this can only be done after we are live.
Okay, I
So,
see that now. So once we're live, we're stuck in
so not.
whatever.
Yeah, now I'm gonna change the thumbnail. Ooh, and it is here. Shaman, Philosopher, images,
That's good to know.
and where are we?
I don't know, man. You're supposed to know. All right, somebody
No,
showed
no.
up. The Hernando de Soto expedition from Mobile to the Mississippi River by Charles Hudson. No, sir, I have not. Thank you. I'm going to make a note right now. Let me set my cup down.
See, already learning.
Thank you very much. So, particularly, let's look up. Let's just go ahead and see what we've got here. Um, from Mobile to the Mississippi River by Charles Hudson.
I think I can put this one. No, but I don't like this one.
All right, man. If I'm going to look something up, you got to entertain. I can't multitask. All right, the Mississippi, ISS.
Okay, I will leave it like this, and let me go and see what's going on then. On, are you saving? You are. So now we have read the manuscript of the desert expedition. Okay, are you looking for it, or do you want me to look for it?
Yeah, well, you can go ahead and do it. I keep mistyping things. There we go.
Okay.
Charles, no, Hudson, not Gudson. Yeah, I can't multitask. I'm not the dude. For
No
that. So
worries,
I've got my
I'm
note-
on it.
I've got my note made, man. Thank
I'm
you,
on it.
CFI Developments, and thanks, guys, for bearing with us. As I think our main motivation tonight is we've established this time period each week. We did not have time due to sickness and varying things to get a guest recorded this week. We've made some great progress on interesting guests. I was recording some interviews. I did some appearances on Jeff Up North. I did a live with him for a couple of hours. I'm going to go back next Thursday and do part two. So, guys, go see Jeff Up North. Check out his page. You'll see my appearance I did earlier this week. Just today, I recorded 2 hours with Dave from Dave's Multiverse. That was a pretty deep interview, dude. There's a lot of backstory, that he went into on myself. So that kind of wore me out, and I fell asleep on the couch, guys. And Ricardo and I are about an hour behind our usual go time, but we wanted to honor it and pop in here and see if live takes, and see if you guys wanted to hop in and ask a question. So here we are doing it.
I think it's this one. Let us know.
Hey, check the group chat.
Yeah, Mobilla, definitely. So we've got, Hernando de Soto artifacts, are chilling all around us here. Go to my
Okay.
X page. All right, producer, I'm hearing you in my ear here.
Yeah, we have a problem. I think we're not live anymore. Go and check.
Oh no. What did you click?
Nowhere. It said this video is set for kids when it isn't, obviously. So let me see if I can do anything here. No, it's not set for kids. Let me see if I can save it. Save. Are we still live or not?
It looks like it. I'm in the chat. Yeah, you are live. Here's a test, bro. Everything's still looking fine on my end, man.
Okay. Because it has an 8-second delay, so I don't never know.
Yeah. I think you panicked there.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much.
That we are live. Okay.
Yeah, I spend a lot of time talking Mobilla. Just today, again, I was covering it. Go to my X page, Shaman711_. And my most recent post is a presentation I did with the Universe Unveiled. As Ricardo and Sarah, who's here in the chat with us. And you see some footage that I put together for a documentary I'm working on, really showcasing everything. Yeah, we might even can look at some of the artifacts here in a bit. I guess share might work pretty well. Share screen on this.
Tell me one thing, Jason. Is there any answer in the, because I don't see the screen when I'm sharing the screen.
Sure, you're at a book.
Is this the one? Did anyone answered if this is the book, so I can look for it?
No, that's the DeSoto Chronicles. So the title of the book you were looking for was...
I'm on Charles Hudson books.
There you go. So the DeSoto expedition from Mobilla to the Mississippi River. Scroll.
There is no more.
Okay.
Oh, Hernando de Soto and the Indians of Florida. Could it be this one? But this is not him. And Charles. Oh, it is. And Charles Hudson. So maybe it's this one?
Are there petrified animals in Alabama? So I can confirm massive amounts of petrified wood, right? Right over here on the Coosa River, the one DeSoto would have crossed coming from modern day Elmore County into, it's Elmore County. So the Coosa River right in Wetumpka, there's a massive blast crater. What do I mean by that? It's an ancient, meteorite crater. The geologists say millions of years, who knows. But the landscape is eat up with quartz and, oddly enough, petrified wood. I've even got some video on, I know I've got it up on X, where I found a large log of petrified wood that has cut marks in it, and the cut marks appear to have happened before the wood was petrified. And how can I say that? Well, the petrification happens, there's crystals, right, that form, and the crystals sort of formed in the cut marks, as you can see in the videos. Very weird place, and that would have been right along where DeSoto would have crossed. Yeah, lots of petrified wood. I even find native pieces. They loved working the petrified wood, and you find it in all sizes. I call them game pieces. But yeah, also I'm not sure. I do have some behind me, but it's too heavy to try to lift. I have petrified wood behind me that was obviously worked and refined, to be decorative for the natives in this area. Yeah.
Well, you'll getting the manuscript in 1 week. So
Okay. Well, thank you. That's too kind. And yeah, I could go on and on. I wish I could take my phone with me and we could just go outside and look at all the petrified wood. I have buckets and buckets of it. They obviously had this stuff, and were polishing it and smoothing it in such a ways that they were displaying it, right? So you can imagine wherever, just perhaps in their house, like in mine, it was a way of bringing in sacred, beautiful things from nature.
I'm here. I'm with this scratch behind my ear. I want to speak this. I don't know if you watched
Hey,
our
True,
sis-
what's up, dude?
our sister. Hi, our sister podcast news of this week, and one of the news is the first recorded cremation. What do you call it? Of the dead bodies, the incineration of dead bodies.
Yeah, cremation. That's the
Cremation.
correct word.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the first of them, and the question that they were posing there, I think it's very relevant. It is: was it by necessity, or was it what came first? The necessity of removing the bodies, or the religious aspect, the spiritual aspect of it, right?
It's interesting. You got an opinion?
Well, my opinion is,
Everybody excuse my
if I'm
snot.
to speak first, I think that as so many things, spirituality has been introduced as a way to facilitate social acceptance of new costumes. So I think necessity would come first because a dead body is not only a danger for health, it will smell, it will attract animals, and
This is true.
it's not an environment where you want to live
This is
with
true.
dead bodies around you, right?
You,
However,
you're
I
just
also
keeping the lion's food fresh at a certain point by burying, right?
however, there must have been a point where the first people died for someone, because it's not like enormous groups like we have today where we get accustomed to death from
Yeah.
tender age. You could spend a lot of time and the first person dies. You never seen anyone die, and you
Right.
don't understand it. So what do you do with it? It's he sleeping? Are we gonna wait? Because you're not gonna burn someone without knowing that it is actually dead. So you have to
Right.
wait to understand that itself,
Right.
right? So what comes first in this case, that is complete ignorance, is the spiritual aspect, because you have a dead person there, you used to see
Yeah.
it alive,
Yeah.
or is the necessity to go and have to do something to the body in order for it not become a
Okay.
danger to the group itself?
So here's what I
You-
can give you, Ricardo.
Let
My
me
ex-
just read this. You put your mother 40 feet up in the air and you build a house there for 4 months and hung with her and then
It
take
is-
her bones. It happens, yes, it still happens today.
It is, yeah. There are such strange, and I don't mean that negatively, but such just an aberration of ways in which people treat the dead. Spirit. So Ricardo, when I started communing with spirit, right, and I'm just out there by the fire, I get imparted lessons about fire. First off, I'm starting to do a fire every day at the beginning of this point in my life, right, or every evening, and I'm gathering all the dead wood from the forest, right, and building these fires, and I start thinking, letting my mind expound upon all of the matter in the universe, right. Think of all of the Creator, right, has a palette. Then what is the paint? The paint is matter, right? So when you think of matter that is trapped, that is dead, that is not full of life, what is that, right? If there is a finite amount of paint, let's say, right, matter. Well, then what that is trapped matter, right? And that's just a way I would see it as I sat around the fire. Stay with me here. This is after hours, after all, guys. So you get a story. So I began seeing something that was very holy and sort of sacred. One of the many, many sacred aspects of the fire for me was that by not just, I wouldn't cut down live trees, I'd find the wood that was dead, and I was performing sort of a service, right, for the whole. And that added a very sacred element to the fire for me. Now, snakes, Ricardo. Snakes are everywhere in these creeks down here, right, dude? You have to come to grips with snakes real quick when you are going barefoot and starting trying to live out here in this stuff and adopt this native way of being, right? So I wanted to learn how to relate with snakes so that I could trust when I was in the wild, that I would be fine. Because I'm telling you, these places I was going, people around here, Ricardo, they would hear Jason say, I'm going to Mortar Creek, and they'd go, what? Jason, that's the snakiest fucking section of all of Alabama. What are you doing? And I go, I know, but I'm working on some shaman shit. Leave me alone. I got it, right? And as I'm learning how to respect the snakes, Ricardo, there gets a joke pulled on me one day. A friend pulls up in a motorcycle, and he asked me to reach in the back. And I reach in the back, and there's a bag, it's a pillowcase, and there's a snake in there. And he just pulls off on the motorcycle with me holding the fucking snake in the bag, and I'm going, oh, you son of a, right? All right. Well, people in this house are very, very scared. My mother doesn't like snakes at all, dude, right? So I was being respectful, and I set the snake down at the bottom of the hill, and I come up, and I'm going to deal with this. That was unexpected, right? I need to step back to the day for a second. Well,
You're not ready for dinner yet.
Yeah, no. You've seen me multitask. It's a mess. So, long story short, on that snake, the day gets hot, man, and the day gets away from me. And by the time I get back to the snake is dead. Right? Now, here I am trying to learn how to live and be with these snakes, and I have a dead one on my hand, Ricardo. And all I know to do at that point is tune in, to intuition and guidance, as I know how to do, and figure out what am I going to do. And instantly, I know what I'm supposed to do. I'm supposed to go down to my campsite, right, by the creek where all these snakes are that I've been trying to learn how to be amongst. And I'm to build a fire in my fire pit that I build my fires in every day, right? And I'm to place him on it, and I'm to give him a proper, respectful send-off, right? That would just instinctually, intuitively, Ricardo, from and of spirit, right? I just knew that's what I do, right? So that's what I did. I went down there, did my thing, gave the dude a little send off, played one of my favorite songs, and said, "All right, tell all your brothers now, what I've done for you here, and sort of even the karma, right, out between us, and that was just an active part of how I was learning to commune with nature. But to your point, Ricardo, people who are tuned into spirit, whatever word you want to use about what I just described, right, intuition, you would perhaps be getting that same knowledge, right? So if I'm communing and getting these knowledges about what's right and proper to do from the same spirit that the natives, let's say, of Tuscaloosa's era, who were living here, were communing with this spirit, would they be getting same such info? And does it come from there? So when you ask for us to find this line between what came first, yes, we know we have all these things such as the physical realm demands, burying the food of the animals is what humans were in many, many iterations of our time, right? But in my experience of seeking to be amongst the earth, the animals of this area, and commune with the spirit that I knew the natives would have, I received intuitive instruction over this particular thing, fire, and its sacred nature. Yeah, there's my ramble on that. Welcome to our live.
So we have this, one of the...
Hey, Jeff, thanks for checking us out, bro.
Hi, Jeff. One
We're
of the
stealing your idea. Jeff got me comfortable live this week, and so we've already promoted you, Jeff. So we were like, we ought to try it once in a while on our end. So this is us literally stumbling through it.
one of the rattlesnake headquarters is in Kentucky, I presume. It's top 5 most special ancient sites in the U.S. The question: did they eat the rattlesnakes? I don't know.
Yeah, the snake. The snake is a topic we could go long and hard on. The snake's sacred, very knowledge keeper,
Yeah.
gatekeeper in many
This question is
cases.
for you.
Intuitive instruction, what did it tell you? So in that case, I was talking specifically about how to treat the snake that had inadvertently passed in my hands. I felt responsible for that dead snake. So my immediate question, in my mind, right? Some people call it a prayer, is how do I handle this situation? The fact that I effectively, by forgetting, killed this snake, and this was very important to me because I'm out barefoot in these woods with these snakes, and I'm seriously invested in trying to learn how to commune and engage with them, right? As a native would have known how to do. So it meant a lot to me when this snake accidentally, died at my hands. So when I say intuitive, I mean in my head, I went, what do I do? And back in my head, I get, go to the spot, build him a fire, do it right, and so that's what I went and did. And I had a little private, Viking pyre funeral for this snake, which I had inadvertently unalived. JC, oh my God, hi. Welcome. Yeah, we won't harp on the snakes, but snakes are important. Anybody that's familiar with some psychedelic, and psilocybin especially, often the entopic phenomena in the beginning that begin as geometric patterns. It doesn't matter. People either see snakes or geometric patterns, and when you look at the geometric patterns long enough, you realize, oh, that's just part of the snake skin. So they represent sort of a knowledge and a gatekeeper. And as an explorer, and guys, by that I mean, you've seen my videos. I do this barefoot, with shorts everywhere, wherever I go, right? And so engaging with snakes was just very important, and learning how to do that properly. And when I would come across them, early on, in these creeks, I would start to see the snake as like a gatekeeper, right? And I could use that to motivate myself past the fear and learn how to walk amongst them, because walking these creeks, you're literally walking amongst them. They're just on all sides. Yeah. Of course, we could just echo Nietzsche. The cave where your dragon is, right, holds the treasure. Something like that was how I saw snakes. And when I accidentally killed one, man, I had to do it right. So to answer our question, let's get us back on track about the burning of the dead. It seems clean, Ricardo. It does seem sacred, and disposing of unused matter. All of those things I mentioned in that story. To me, it makes sense why people do it. So I don't think that answers it, does it? But
Well,
we threw a dart at it.
yeah. Yeah. One of the comments is, why is the serpent worship so prevalent, right? Because it is the oldest that we know of ritualistic traditions. And this, for instance, is a place where this stone was purposely carved to look like a, what? No, I don't want to publish. To look like a snake, right? So why is it the snake is the primordial of what? I just want to know where
Well,
this is.
primordial, it is just a belly thing. But, we can touch back upon the entopic phenomenon of the psychedelic experience, Ricardo. Psilocybin, especially when you are using the tool, right, for a specific journey, right, to have a specific meeting. I learned through research, and then did on my own. And yes, it's true that point begins often with snakes, right? And when I was out alone by the fire, and I'd had was using my tool, my moment alone, and it's the roots of the trees around the fire started to turn to snakes, right? And that's how I knew, that the moment, the threshold I was looking for, was approaching. Yeah, that's standard, and the natives, around here, at least, were well known for their psilocybin use, and of course, so the snake, which is in their environment, just as it is. I mean, I'm in their environment here now. Would have been the same then. Would have been sacred to them for those reasons, I believe. If I'm sure many more.
No, I think regards to the last comment, I think that many of the psychedelic art from shamans includes snakes, and that's not
Yeah.
a recent thing. Even
Yeah.
in the
Yeah.
oldest, we find the representation of snakes. So it's more or less a constant between shamanic traditions, which I deduce that comes from visions. Yes.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, again, your experience always has to do with your intent as well, right? And my intent was I was there purposefully to have a shamanic journey. I was going to get, have a meeting, is just the only way to say it. So naturally, I was looking for the particular entopic phenomenon I knew I should be looking for, and I found them. That's all.
Like everyone was smoking pipes.
It's interesting. You go to the Moundville Museum here in Alabama. Moundville is one of the few documented large mound sites we have, and it's huge, impressive. But you go to their museum, and they've got these cool dioramas. But the natives, they got these huge baskets, and they're just full of mushrooms. It was part of their shamanistic practice in this area, for certain. Yeah.
I wonder if psychedelics were introduced into cultures to replace some lost ability, or if they were always a native thing. Let me explain. I don't know if you saw the trialogues today,
No, I didn't.
but
I didn't.
we were presented. So it's on Headless Giant channel that you can look on YouTube. So there are now people studying and showing children that are wearing masks and they still see.
You're talking about the telepathy.
No,
tapes.
it's not well,
Yeah?
yes, probably. I don't know the name because I saw it for the first time, but it's related to Rupert Sheldrake, so I'm surprised I never caught to it. But they describe that it's a different type of light, but they can see the environment in different than it is in reality, but they can see, they can read, they can see letters, colors, and so on and so forth. So they are activating some parts of the interface, that is the brain, that it's normally not working because we are focused on our sight, so we don't require to use anything
Yes.
else. Everything is
Yes.
dominated by sight, right? So I wonder what else has been suppressed. As I said in the show, I saw this week a paper saying that we have the exact same gene that in geckos makes them regrow their limbs. The difference is, in the gecko, when you cut a limb, the gene is activated. In humans, if you cut a limb, the gene is suppressed. Suppressed. So it's functional, but when it's time for him to come into action, there is a protein or an enzyme that suppresses the function of that gene so it doesn't work. Right? So it looks like if we are into creationism of some form and shape, doesn't have to be the Bible God.
We've been cast out of the garden.
Yes,
And
well,
perhaps these things have been turned off.
turned off, right?
Yeah.
So it's another, to me, it's another point showing that what has been taken from the
Uh
human
huh.
condition, and how can we recover it?
Yes. So, without getting into the, I mean, answering the specifics there. Look, I don't know about the telepathy tapes. I don't know if the masks and all. I don't know if that shit's real. I don't know. I can talk from my experience, right, man. When you allow yourself, when you allow your inner child, right, to start to play with things, that's sort of what I try to be my driving force, dude. And you start to realize things such as telepathy are real to a degree. I've tested it with people that were showing me that it was real, and I know that it's a real phenomenon. It can occur. Messages can traverse instantly. Okay, now what else, Ricardo? Well, I spent a lot of time in the woods, man. I spent a whole lot of time in the woods, right? And I purposefully take myself out there with just my dog, who she was something special. Everybody that hasn't heard about Luna, you will one day. I knew I was always safe with her wherever I went, but I throw myself places I didn't know where I was. I didn't have a phone. I didn't have guidance systems. I wanted to know how to do it, right? Well, you end up doing weird things when you're out there, Ricardo, when you get lost and you don't know where you're going. You end up going, all right, I don't know where I'm at. Send me a bird to follow, right? And you end up getting a bird, and you go, all right, I'm going to follow this fucking bird because I am truly well and shit lost, and these thorns hurt, and I'm out of water. So I will follow this fucking bird for a minute. And you follow the bird, Ricardo, and you get to a dirt road, and you remember, oh yeah, this is the dirt road, and you get let out, okay? And then in those moments, you also go, I wonder if I could objectively disengage enough. What if I could use my third eye? What if I could envision the terrain around me? What if I could pretend like I have like sort of a drone is my vision, and I could let my vision travel up,
Like
see
an out of
around
body
me,
experience, like an out of
sort
body
of.
experience.
Yeah, precisely. But if I could just do it,
With the
like
body
standing
still
there.
active, with the body still
Yeah,
active.
yeah. Just stand there. Let my eyes blur over for a minute. Don't have to close your eyes, right? Once you learn how to work with the third eye, you don't have to close your eyes. In fact, closing your eyes becomes a different thing. When you're trying to do soul journeying and dropping into the shamanic realm, as Logan calls it, you need the field of vision. What happens when you close your eyes, right? But when you're working in third eye, what you might know is your imagination. I don't know. You don't even need your eyes closed, right? So I would start playing around with being able to go up, see the train around me, and then see what was over that way. And then, having not been there and not have a phone, I had my raw data set. I was in an experiment of my own making, Ricardo. And then I would go over there and I go, oh yeah, that is the big rock pile, right? Okay, that fucking worked, right? So, do we have latent abilities? Yes, we do. How do we turn them on? Well, we lean into them, bro. We live in a society that has been designed, its structure, its intent, its purpose is to dumb us down to this, right? To tell us this is woo,
A
to keep us
materialistic view.
full of materialistic view, keep you trapped,
Perspective.
in the matrix, man. Instead of just, letting us realize we've got some pretty amazing shit going on within us.
I think I was going to say something, but I didn't want to interrupt you, and now I'm a bit lost on what I was about to say.
Well, and I didn't want to ramble because I think the whole idea here was Q&A, and
Sure.
were we missing any?
No,
I think so.
No,
Okay,
no.
cool. Thanks,
Unless-
guys, for whoever turned over. We're testing this out. Don't worry, Rue. It's welcome, mate. It's just us
welcome.
testing things out, man. Having fun, answering a few questions, telling stories.
Yeah, if you have a question, go forward.
Yeah, we've been recording all day in various different aspects. So this was just a laid-back first attempt at going live, and yeah, just getting our sea legs about us. Thanks for showing up, bro. You didn't miss a thing. We literally just got going and just hanging out. True Seer, I hope you're well, bro. Thanks for stopping in. I hope everything in your world is as good as can be.
Okay, this is a somewhat profound question. So, this is how I perceive it, and although it might be like childish, but this is how I perceive it. If you bring something closer to it, you'll kind of feel it. So, as stupid as picking your finger, and bring it slowly towards the point above your nose, you start to feel some itching inside, like a tinkling. And that to me is your third eye. It's like that energetic activation, but you can feel it without doing it. That's just like to test it if it is on or off. I don't know how else to explain it, but it's not something that seizes the eyes, but it's something that is aware, is almost conscious.
Yeah, it is hard to put words to, but it's if you think about your imagination, you know, if I tell you to imagine in front of you a very small statue of yourself, okay? Can you, with your eyes open, can you imagine in front of you, in front of your eyes, a very small statue of yourself? Okay, you're just looking at it; it's floating there. All right, I think most of us can do that to some degree, to where somewhere in here we have a vague picture of a statue in front of us, and we can do it with our eyes open. Now, that's happening in what I call third eye, right? Now, the more you lean into that vision, the more you can strengthen it, the more you can refine it, the more spirit can use it as a communicative tool. And as I just exhibited, when you're in the wild, you know, you can use it as just a functional tool as well to envision terrain that you're in. But many uses, you know. The third eye is. I also say when I look at, I've got a buddy that's an he's a painter. It's not abstract, right? But he paints these things that are just, man, it's pictures inside of pictures, and you know, it's just all sorts of stuff on a canvas, and you can sit and you can look at it, and each time you look at it, you will see something brand new, right? Well, some people can look at it and they only see the big thing up front, right? I would say that person's not using their third eye. See, this is another application for that word. You know, the person that then stands there and can constantly just see new things. You're able to, it's like first sight, right? See something for the first time each time. That level of consciousness is where your third eye is operating as well.
Now I have a question about dowsing.
Dowsing is real. Uh-huh.
Yeah, I like to go before dowsing, because let's assume that there was a time.
Worries, true.
There's a time that we didn't have the metal rods to use it. So the dowser was the body of the people themselves, and we know this because all ancient sites are built atop. The active ones, at least the functional ones, are built always atop what is it called? A fissure in the earth. It's not a fissure. That is called like a seismic crack. I can't remember the goddamn name. I'm sorry.
It's okay.
So
a fucking crack in the earth.
Yeah, but it's not necessarily visible, right? So if anyone in the chat knows the name, please tell me. I can't remember right now. So they are built atop of these fractures in the earth. They all built atop places with running underground water. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And they have this energy of their own. So they did fault lines. Thank you very much.
There you go, Ru.
Thank you, Ru. So they are built atop fault lines with underground moving water. And none of this is perceptible from the surface. And we see all these megalithic sites that then were replaced by chapels and churches and so on, and very rich and initiated people, palaces and so forth. They knew how to find them. They were already using this metal rods. I'm not sure if they had it back then. So I think that the metal rods are functional, but somehow they are a reflection of our loss of sensibility. We now need something to increase our perception, even in sensitive people.
So my experience with what people call dowsing, right? Logan is a good example. Logan, I call him an adoptive son is the best way to describe Logan. He's about 21, 22 now. Logan, first, I have the ability, right? But seeing it in him helped me really, get a concrete idea of what was going on. He'll sit, we'll be out in the woods, whatever, and we'll sit, and he can just look, and he can just go there, there. We need to go look over there, right? He'll see something on his field of vision, and he'll point. He'll be able to point, and we'll go over there and look. And sure shit, there's it doesn't matter the thing, right? It worked in my experience. Now, I saw this happen again over here at the town of Attahachie, where DeSoto and Tuscaloosa first met. There's this mound, right, that's behind this house. I was flipping this old house on it. Now, I'd already talked, to people, right, about the mound and the weirdness and all. But Logan knows nothing. He's in the backyard of this house, right, that I'm working on. And Logan sits down against a tree, and we start a little cedar fire, right? And Logan's just sitting there, and he says, "Hey, hand me a piece of paper." I'm like, "All right, sure," and a piece of paper, and he starts sketching what he's looking at, and he wanted to mark. He looks behind him, and he wants to mark right where his head was, so he knows, exactly to keep even the same angle, right? And he sketches out what he sees, right? And he says, "Right here, man, there's something right here." Okay, so I go talk, a week later or whatever, to the neighbors, and the grandson of the guy that lived on the house that was on the mound, he says, "Yeah, man, there's tunnels under this place. It's been here since my father was born here in 1800s, and there's tunnels. They'd never even gone in them. Who knows what it is, right?" Now, Logan had picked up on the fact that right there was some weird shit we need to go look at. Now, that's what I call dowsing. You know what I mean? We could get in. I've gotten into conversations with him about breaking down, what that looked like for him, and what it is. But to your point, it wasn't a tool. It was the human, right?
The human,
just
yeah.
just
But
being
look,
open.
in Portugal, in rural areas, like where I used to be, they still hire the dowser to come and see where there's water. So then the machine comes with a drill and drills to take out the water, right? They still haven't replaced it by any technology. It's still a guy that goes there with the two metal rods and says, "It's here."
Right.
And
Right.
then comes the company and drills, right? So it
I
works. There is no doubt that it works.
I like that Rue. Rue's got, you talk about the third eye and dowsing. You don't even need to go there. Animal farmers use their third eye every day of the week. On a farm, every animal, human, knows what the other is, knows what the other is thinking. The cow knows the dog and the sheep. The dog knows the horse, the farmer, the kids. Everyone knows what else everyone is thinking. It's in sync. That's correct. A symbiotic relationships. Very good point, Rue.
And yeah, just to this final comment, for instance, I know that people have this capacity to touch a stone, and we talked to, and the girls
Nikiana.
talked to Nikiana, for
Yeah.
instance, touch the stone and feel something coming from it, so to
Yeah,
receive some
transfer of
information.
info. Sure.
I don't do that. For instance, I can go to a place and I can feel the energy of the place, right? I distinctly know how the energy goes through my body, and I
Yeah.
can feel it, but I cannot do the other thing. Probably with training, we all could do all of these things.
Yes.
It's just so far out of
Yes.
our daily lives that we, right? And I found it probably because I was subjected to it so long, because I used to go to Sintra Mountain every single day. I spent nights there. I go through the woods before there were, now there is fences everywhere saying private property, but I used to be able to go all around. Now it's filled with occult people living terrible graffitis and black magic on the stones and so on. So they're defiling certain place because they know that it's that powerful. They are taking
Sure.
that energy, because energy isn't good or bad. Energy is there to be used by the user, and the user then use it for good or for evil, right? But
See.
I'm used to that sensation. From when the first time I took my kids there, I even filmed it. They're saying, "Oh, Dad, we can't breathe. You just have to relax," because the energy is so strong that it compresses you. It's even hard for you to breathe when you're in the middle of the woods, so strong the energy is. So, for instance, when I went to the conference and then to Michigan, Wisconsin, I visited at least one site where the energy was tremendous, and the cameraman that was completely out of this kind of perception would say, "I can feel it too," because it was so strong, he couldn't deny it, right? So we are still capable of feeling it. No doubt
Yeah.
that the body is the instrument.
Yeah, no doubt, and it's within all of us, and that's the thing. We're all just in this current culture, whose overriding desire is to have us not be aware of these things. In all honesty, every aspect of it. But as Rue points out, once you get back to nature and you watch and observe how it works with itself and these symbiotic relationships, animals, dogs is where Ricardo, I first crossed the threshold that I needed to believe in a form of telepathy with humans. So before I was able to even believe, you know what I mean? Like, oh, sure, it's possible with humans. I first had experiences with dogs. I had experiences with dogs that let me know, okay, God, as I call it, outside of me, is able to handle a form of communication, but between living entities, right? Living with my dog, Ricardo, with Luna, just living with her in the wild, I learned without a doubt that information could pass, right, and could be interpreted and understood, and actions could be taken thereof, right? So by interacting with animals, I then said, well, then of course we should try it with humans too. It's just another animal, right? But as Rue points out, it was through the natural world where when you observe it, you go, okay, there is communication happening. If you're quiet and still long enough, you start to see that everything's kind of communicating, man.
Well, if the farmer is the more unmechanically the farmer tills his field or his
Oh
orchard
yeah.
or whatever, the less mechanically does it, the greater the communion with nature and the biosphere around it. So if we go one step back and you go to hunter gatherers, there will be even more connected between the relation between the human and the animals, right? And this is the kind of state that is somewhat described by the megalithic world, especially in Iberia, where they call it like a paradise, where even animals were thought to be docile from from they are all living in this kind of paradise because there is this mutual respect, this mutual understanding, right? That is, for instance, violated when you have a bullfight in a I don't know how you call it, the the Colosseum where these things are done. I don't know how to say it in English. Um, we call it a square of bulls, but it's not square; it's round. In there, that relationship is violated because the bull is forced to react to the human. He has
Right.
nowhere to escape, and there
Right.
is no respect. There is only offense, right?
Right.
So, uh, but in a natural environment, there is the good hunter is a hunter that has respect by
Yes.
what he's hunting, right? And
Yes.
they understand mutually. It's like that's why I don't agree with hunting with guns because it violates the principles. While you're using a bow and arrow or something that is or like a fair trap, you are giving the animal a chance to be smart and interact. When you're using a gun, the animal has no choice at all. There is no chance for him. So,
Nature certainly does, and it can know your intent. However, as Rue, thank you for pointing out, Rue, I had no idea, man. Rue, you've done everything, haven't you, brother? You're like a world-renowned artist. You're setting up litigation, precedent on X, and you also were a 40-year farmer. Yeah, animals know intent. I've learned again just through enough time of walking through enough woods with enough wild creatures, and walking with enough other people that know how to walk like this, that animals know how to respond to intent. They know if you're there to be of them and with them, and they know if you're there to hunt them and to gather them. That's for certain.
well, they're saying even plants communicate.
Yeah.
It was
Hmm.
it was by a scientific coincidence that's
Rocks store information, not just quartz crystals. It's all, yeah.
yeah.
Hmm.
It was by mere chance that science was forced to recognize that plants communicate with one another. And this happened because in Africa, the kudus were appearing dead in enormous numbers. And it started clearly on one spot of the country and was following a route through the landscape where they are dying. So kudus that were in another area, far away, there was nothing going on. And so they tried to find out what was killing the kudus because they were not hurt. They didn't seem to have any signs of disease. There is no.
That's right, true. The fungi, yeah, mycelium networks
There,
underneath.
there
Keep
was
going.
there was nothing, and so they decided to look. What do the kudu eat? He eats the leaves from acacias, and so they started studying the acacia that they consider was in ground zero of the death of the kudus.
The acacia's got DMT in it, doesn't it?
I don't know. I think so. So
Yeah, it's one of the DMT bearing.
what they found out is when the acacia feels that it's being overeaten and starts fearing for his life, that's the best way to describe it,
Yeah.
it starts to create a toxin. And not only creates that toxin, it sends a pheromone through the air that reaches another acacia, and the acacia knows immediately, I'm not going to that point, I'm going to start producing the toxin right now. So one after the other, they start producing all of that toxin, and that was
Wow.
killing all of it killed hundreds and hundreds of kudus. So National Geographic covered it, and the news, an article that I have posted it on X, shows the first time that academics were forced to recognize that plants are conscious and communicate to one another because that's what they found and that's what was published.
So you spend long enough with them, I like the study. I forget, this was long ago. I remember hearing about this when I was young, where they played the different types of music for plants. Right? It was a controlled scientific study. And they found, and humans talked to the plants. They either yelled at them angrily, right, or talked to them lovingly. And they found the response was not only different, it was dramatically different. The plants that were spoken to lovingly and kindly, and the plants that heard cool, classical music versus, something else. The response was dramatic, right? Now, not only in the woods, Ricardo, but I spent a lot of time in landscaping, and I ran a nursery, and I did bonsai. And, bonsai, they say you shouldn't even make your first move on your first plant until you dream it, right? Because they want you just focused on the plant, for a very, very, very long time, on nature itself, right? And yeah, you learn it does speak. It speaks to you in so many ways. Not only in the way like Trussier points out, we have the mycelium networks. We know we have trees that it looks like it's a forest, but it's one tree, and they talk through the root systems, and we're learning all of these things that in fact it all is sort of a symbiotic system to one degree or another. But in my own experience, when you as your human self are still with them long enough, there is data there. There is wisdom and things to be learned by trying to just connect with a bonsai tree in front of you as you envision along with it what it wants to be. All kinds of ways these things talk to us, bro.
Yeah.
And when you talk back to them nicely, science shows they grow better.
Yeah.
So when I'm there with my bonsai plant, I'm there. It's kind of like I'm there with my dog. I'm there. That's the way I learned to see it. It's like communing with another consciousness.
And have you ever heard of the dancing plant?
You're not ringing a bell. No. Do you have a video?
Okay, yeah, I can't play the videos, but I'm gonna put it on chat, and you just copy it, and you'll find it quite easily.
You want to
It's
send it to
called
me or put it in the chat?
Quadarioc Calix motorius. I'm gonna put it on the chat, so everyone sees the name. If it allows me to do paste, can I? Yes, I can do a paste.
That's right, Rue. DNA.
There it goes. There's the name. You can look for
That
it.
takes us back to the part you might have missed, Rue, in the beginning
So-
where Ricardo was talking about our latent abilities that could have possibly been shut off, and DNA is one place you look for signs of that.
So, yeah, in regards to DMT, I think it's important to notice that if it is snorted or smoked, it has an effect that is very short duration and extremely visual. Although most of the visuals are more or less within a group that more or less everybody sees more or less the same thing. However, if you give it an inhibitor
Yeah.
that doesn't allow your stomach to process it and you ingest the MT with that inhibitor, then it's a 16-hour trip that
Yeah, like
will
with the
strip
ayahuasca.
you. It's ayahuasca. It will
Yeah.
strip
Yeah.
you of yourself and everything. So the first hours you will be, I'm sorry, everybody, but it's the truth.
You've done it?
You'll be shitting and vomiting for 2 hours. Your system will be completely cleansed. That's the first thing. It
Have
cleans
you
you.
done it?
No, but I've studied it
Oh yeah. Yeah, I've
precisely.
studied it too, but I haven't done it. Yeah.
Yeah, and I have one of the documentaries that I have goes through the whole process where you see every step and what people go through.
Right.
And after that, you have the introspection of it after your body is clean when you're faced with your reality of what you're doing with your life, right? So that's
Yeah.
probably one of the reasons why ayahuasca is has a rate of success above 80% in curing alcoholism or any other serious addiction in one session,
Right.
one single session, and people won't touch it again because whatever they were confronted in there, they don't want to go through
Because
it
it was
again.
such a trying, right,
Yeah.
experience versus just taking a smoke and going there for 15 minutes, right, versus taking that awful journey. It's true. You know, I got off the alcohol and I followed those steps and went through all that hard work the hard way. But still, it was just as gut wrenching with or without the DMT.
and 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 now the question that always boggled me is not that the mixture of the vine and of the DMT produces this effect, is how the heck DMT I can understand. You take this, you take that, you smoke this, you smoke that, and you find that, woo, this one is
Right.
powerful, this one is strong with the gods. But how do you select a vine from thousands of different vines in the forest around you? How the heck did you find that one that it's the only one that has the inhibitor that
Right.
doesn't allow your body to.
Well, see, here's what makes it even worse. I mean, you glossed over one part, Ricardo. So they couldn't have found the DMT without the inhibitor because the plant that has the DMT, if I just eat that plant, I don't get anything.
Nothing,
right?
'cause your stomach
I get
is
nothing.
dissolves
I
it.
have to have the vine, if I have the formula right here,
Yeah.
with the MAO oxidase inhibitor in it. I have to have that mixed with the leaf, right, in order for me to even know that the DMT is there. I don't get the effect unless I mix the two.
And
now,
brew it for many, many hours.
right now in the Amazon with its plethora of forest, station, and life, how is a very good question. Did that occur? Right, you couldn't find one without the other. You know, one without the other doesn't do anything. So yeah, there was probably somebody's garden overgrew, bro. Is what happened, and it became the Amazon. Is what the lidar,
but do you
is showing
think that
us.
they just said, "Oh, I believe that one of these vines
No,
has
I
the
think
ingredients that
it's
we
an echo
need."
of very ancient science. Okay, people have been in the South American Amazon as modern science is just now beginning to show us, and the original explorers tried to tell us, dude, there have been civilizations rocking on that continent for a very long time, right? So much so that what we call the rainforest is in fact an overgrown, cultivated. They're all cultivars of useful to human trees, right? So to me, what you're seeing then in these Amazonian, shamans, right, who have this knowledge, I don't foresee one of them or two of them, even over 20,000 years, just happening to mix together these two things. What you're seeing is a definitive echo of science, right, of formulation that requires long spans of time of knowledge. And the only way I see it happening is if you look at the modern LiDAR of South America and you see these massive cities that were everywhere. Well, guess what? their scientists had already sorted out these vines, and they had ayahuasca. And then it all grew over, and we find a few guys running around in their underwear, and we go, "How did it happen?" Well, okay, let's learn where they came from, what you see in front of you now. It's like in America when DeSoto came through with his expedition, right? He described what he encountered, these numbers and these towns and this stuff everywhere. But then 100 years later, we get back here, and because of the disease and because of the decimation, of his expedition, all we see are these little, bands, and we mistake that for the baseline. Same thing in South America. So that's my answer of how it happened, dude. Because to your point, you can't math that out. You can't take the acreage, the number of plants, and that combo and realize that I cannot find one without the other. You have to have science behind that somewhere.
Well, regarding this, oh no, this is it. Wait a second. Where is that come? Oh, there it is. This is the one. So, in this place, they had a huge concentration of medicinal plants, so that the shaman didn't have to go for miles and miles and looking for these plants. They're all
Right.
concentrated in a small area, all cultivated there.
Right.
Right? So the value of this was well known to the point where someone decided to create a space to concentrate 300
Right.
different medicinal
Right.
plants on one place. This is the ignorant people, okay? This is the people with butt flaps and no language and no culture, savages, right?
Right.
A savage doesn't create a pharmacopoeia of 300
Right.
species, right? Without understanding of how to use them. And when you have the time to understand that part of the human existence, you have to have such a history behind that to reach to that point. There is thousands and thousands of years of
Yeah.
experience.
Rue says the quiet part out loud. We only know what we find. What did those who designed the Amazon find and know? And Rue is hinting to there's much science. The DNA markers, not only the designed cities we're seeing in mass now. That yeah, there was a lot down there. And where did those people come from? And what did they know?
What we
So
have.
we are at we're passing an hour mark here, and I'll give a shout out here as we start to Ricardo. I'm going to start to maybe try to wind us down.
Sure, absolutely.
I'm happy that this worked. We wanted to honor our time slot for all of our friends that are used to us being on this time slot. I did some recording today. It was maybe 2.5 hours with Dave on the multiverse. Dave's going to drop that, I think, this week. It was nice. It was personal. We looked at a lot of my work, but it took a lot out of me as well. So I'm pretty tired. So I don't want to sit here and bore you guys as my energy wanes. Ricardo, you've been recording all day too. You had the trialogues with Headless and with Ethan.
Three
Great
hours.
dudes.
3 hours.
3 hours you recorded with them. So to True, to Rue, to CFI, to everybody else, whether you're in the chat or not, I can't see who all's here. We love you guys, and we really want to thank you for stopping by with us tonight as we test out our first live. And hopefully this is now something we'll start taking more advantage of as we're getting more comfortable with the technology.
Sure. And let us know if you like this kind of format, because I would like to use not only for guests, but use the space for Shaman to speak about his research and for me to come here and bore you with a lot of stuff that hasn't been discussed here, like archaeoacoustics, archaeoastronomy,
You're not going to bore them,
technology,
Ricardo.
and the lots of copper that is coming in relation to the new testing that is being prepared and all the things. Apparently, I'm going to speak for 10-15 minutes in an event that will have hundreds of people. I'm going to put it to speak live from John Lefgren Research Institute. I hope I don't mess that up.
You won't.
And there's a lot we can do in this space without the guests themselves. So
This is true. This is true.
because although we love having guests, apparently we also have a lot of bullshit to say on our own. So
We talked to independent researchers, and we are independent researchers. And Ricardo, I know your material, bro. You're not going to bore anybody. I wouldn't have picked a boring partner. That's for damn sure. Look at this mess over here. So yeah, we definitely can take advantage of this. I like the quick Q&A. I definitely like answering questions instead of having to sit here and sort of come up with material. As I'm doing more and more interviews, as I'm going on more and more shows, as I'm talking more and more about my work, I'm talking about the same things over and over again. So I love the idea of having the guys be able to just ask us questions as well. So let us know what you think, and we'll keep it going.
absolutely. So
Yeah.
last recommendations. Well, watch the news segment for Universe Unveiled that got out today, as it comes out every Sunday at 11:11.
Yep.
As for future guests, we have a special show coming to talk about the moon. We know that Mars is on the top right now, but
Yeah, we are. We're going to start a new Mars disclosure group with Dave, the Multiverse, with Jean Ward, and with Brian Corey Dobbs, where the four of us get together every month and talk Mars disclosure. I believe Jean Ward and Brian Corey, in our first meeting, February 5th, they're going to walk us through the process they use to find these anomalies on Mars. So we'll sort of get a firsthand account of their process. So I'm looking forward to that.
But as I was saying, for us it will be we'll have a show about the moon in, I think, 2 weeks. We're going to record that.
Yeah.
We are also going to have a Mars Revealer, I think, that is also about Mars, but it's not part of this group, but he's also a good researcher. And I haven't contacted him yet, but I will contact again Lee Pennington, that I'm quite eager to
Lee
have
Pennington
on board.
is the one I think I and everyone else would be most looking forward to. That's that would be an honorable score right there,
Sure.
man.
And I'm
That's a wealth of human knowledge that you can't overstate. What an honor that'd be to talk to Lee.
Sure.
In case anybody associated with Lee hears, that would be amazing.
yeah, he's already agreed. It was
I know
just
he's already
December.
agreed,
It
man.
was
I'm just
December.
I'm putting out the vibes in case he's having second thoughts. I'm excited to talk to him, if you can't tell,
Yeah.
is all I'm saying. And there's a couple of others that
Yeah.
we're not going to spoil. I'm not going to spoil that I'm working on myself. So we have plenty of guests. But as you say, Ricardo, we also have plenty to offer ourselves. And mixing up the format a little, where it's guest and non-guest, I think is going to work great.
Yeah. And we will have Ed Cassis again, but not for the Tridactyls, which, funny enough, is now under serious gunfire, the whole Tridactyls scene.
Yeah, I'm just watching that thing. I don't know anything about any of it.
No, that is just fascinating to me, because it's academics saying that other academics are wrong. So
Yeah,
they're
it's
attacking
weird
each
the
other.
way it's
They're
starting to
attacking
bubble,
each
right? It
other.
is. It's more about what it's showing, than what you're learning about whatever the
Yeah,
things
exactly.
are. It's what you're seeing happen around them that's quite interesting.
But we'll have Ed Cassis again to talk to us, especially to Jason, about acting, which
That would be great.
I love that subject. So
I hit with Dave today. We hit a little bit on my acting background in my early 20s and my high school. That was my love. Stage, yeah, Shakespeare. Shakespeare. Jeff, I see Jeff in the chat. I'm going to be on Jeff's show, Thursday again for part 2 to finish what we're doing there. So everybody come see us on Jeff's show. I forget what time it is. 7 Central, I think, Thursday. So that's us, I guess. I'm ready
Absolutely.
to go get a nap. How about you, dude?
Yeah. So thank you all for being with us all this time, and I think 1 hour and 13 is pretty good for everybody to can.
Yeah, I'm excited. We learned a lot, and our friends showed up to help us learn, and I think we can take this format comfortably forward and confidently
Yeah.
forward, man. Yeah.
And it's more. I like this direct
And I got to
interaction
turn the
with
studio lights off, and got to sort of set the nighttime setting, tell a few shaman stories, It was very enjoyable, bro. This was a great idea.
Thank you very much to you all. So a very fond farewell. Till next time.
Jeff,
Thank you.
thanks, bro. See you
It's
then, everyone.
7 Central.
Love you guys. True, Rue, Sarah, Jacqueline, and all those I cannot see. Thank you so much for being a part of this journey with us. We love you guys. Good night.
Good night.